Good Monday afternoon, and thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. We are following some breaking news out of St. Paul this afternoon. Police are reporting a shooting involving officers outside of Regions Hospital. Police say they were called to the 400 block of Temperance Street. It was about 9:15 this morning for a domestic assault. The caller told police the suspect had left and was armed. Police later found him outside of Regions Hospital where a reported encounter, resulted in a shooting. St. Paul police say officers immediately provided aid to the suspect, who is now being treated at the hospital. We do know that no officers were hurt, and police have asked the Minnesota BCA to investigate the incident. We do have crews at the scene this afternoon, and we will bring you more information just as soon as we learn it. New this afternoon, the man accused of holding authorities in an hours-long standoff in Isanti appearing in court for the first time. Officials announcing more than 24 charges against Jason Michael Phillips, including first-degree attempted murder, assault, and neglect of a child. The charges stem from the incident on Cedar Street last Wednesday. Police say Phillips fired shots at authorities multiple times, hitting nearby homes, all while his wife and their 5 children were inside that house. They did all eventually get out safely. SWAT teams from multiple agencies evacuated neighbors and tried negotiating with the suspect. Authorities say the suspect then fired at armored vehicles during the efforts. One of those bullets nearly hitting a neighbor's child inside of a house nearby. Police say after 6.5 hours, an Anoka County SWAT team member shot at Phillips and then took him into custody. This afternoon, the State Patrol is investigating 2 serious crashes in the Twin Cities Metro. Investigators say a person died after a crash on I-94 last night. This is video that our crew got from the scene around 10 p.m. This is on the I-94 near Olson Memorial Highway. State Patrol says an 18-year-old struck the lane divider in the exit and was out of his vehicle when he was hit by another car. The 2 people in that car were not hurt. The crash forcing the eastbound lanes to shut down for hours. Authorities say alcohol is not a factor in this incident. Meanwhile, a woman is fighting for her life after a car hit her while she was riding her bike in Golden Valley. It happened at the intersection of Theodore Wirth Parkway and Highway 55. It's unclear at this point what caused that crash. However, again, investigators do not believe alcohol was involved. Tomorrow, Minnesotans will head to the polls for the primary election. Early voting still happening today before voters get their final say when polls across the state open tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Audrey Russo brings us a preview of the Senate race.
Even if you've been living under a rock here in Minnesota, you've no doubt managed to see some ads for this race. The stiffest competition coming on the DFL side, pitting Congresswoman Angie Craig against the current Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan. Now, a big highlight of this race so far has been fraud, Medicare fraud specifically. Now, Craig has consistently pointed out the Medicare fraud that's happened on the Walz-Flanagan administration's watch. She argues that putting Flanagan on the DFL ticket will hurt the chances of that Senate seat remaining blue. Now, Flanagan has the party's endorsement and argues that Craig votes too frequently with Republicans. And speaking of the GOP, Michelle Tafoya is vying to be the Republican on the ticket come November. Now, the former broadcaster is facing off against former Navy SEAL Adam Schwarzy. Now, Schwarzy has the party's endorsement, but Tafoya is leading in the polls.
Another big race we are following is the one for governor. Senator Amy Klobuchar is considered the presumptive DFL nominee and has had somewhat of a head start in her messaging for the general election. Meanwhile, the Republicans vying for the GOP spot on November's ballot are Kendall Qualls, who earned the party's endorsement ahead of the primaries, Mike Lindell, who's endorsed by President Trump, and Lisa Demuth, the current Minnesota House Speaker. You can find a full breakdown of candidates and races and our voter guide. You can look for that on kare11.com/vote. We have new video this afternoon of the damage from a 7.4 magnitude earthquake that hit western Colombia this morning. So far, we know that at least 74 people were killed. Many remain trapped under the rubble at this hour. The quake hit about 250 miles from the country's capital of Bogota. And even at that distance, some people are evacuating the capital. Parts of Ecuador also felt that quake. There are other injuries, but it's unclear at this time just how many. Today, Iran says it is nearing a final pact with Oman to define shipping lanes in the Strait of Hormuz, but says if the U.S. wants to reopen the waterway, we will have to meet other conditions. That includes ending sanctions and military threats. NBC's Keir Simmons has the latest.
Hey there, good day to you. Millions of Americans focused still on this stretch of water thousands of miles away because of the impact that it can have on gas prices and on inflation. Now, Iran trying to use that leverage to put pressure on President Trump and push him into a corner, issuing a range of new demands through the weekend that add up to billions of dollars, also insisting that the US must agree not to target or even insult Iran in the future before the Strait of Hormuz can be reopened. Also, Iran demanding that US military must be withdrawn from around Iran and that, for example, sanctions should be lifted. Iran also saying that its proxies in the region should no longer be targeted. Now, President Trump saying that he still does believe that they are making progress in negotiations, but the Iranians clearly are pushing for more now. And another pressure point for the Trump administration, Israel now rejecting President Trump's Board of Peace agreement for Gaza, saying its priority is to continue to focus on attacking Iran's proxies in the region, and that it will not back down from its insistence that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. Keir Simmons, NBC News, Doha.
Right now, firefighters are battling a massive wildfire, several of them burning in Canada and the western U.S. There are hundreds of active fires across that area, burning thousands of acres. And this afternoon, we know at least one person has died after an explosive wildfire in British Columbia. This is video of the blaze, the Bald Range fire. We checked before this newscast, more than 33,000 acres have already burned, with roughly 20,000 people under evacuation orders. Officials say half of the fires across Canada right now are, quote, out of control. Back in the U.S., officials say wildfires in the West are leaving behind a path of devastation in 5 states. You're looking at video of crews battling a fire devil or firenado that's near Los Angeles. You can see that there. California, Washington, Utah, Nevada, and Oregon all have evacuation orders in place this afternoon. More than 640 crews across the U.S. are helping battle those fires. Right now, an 18-year-old is recovering after a shooting near the Stone Arch Bridge early Sunday morning. It happened around 2:30 near 2nd Avenue and 6th Street Southeast. Police say the man later arrived at HCMC with several gunshot wounds. They say he was outside when he was hit, but does not know who shot him. So far, no one has been arrested. This afternoon, a father is speaking out 2 years after his son was killed in a North Minneapolis shooting. The case going cold until just recently when a suspect was charged in Malachi Bailey's murder. Nasira Calvi has the latest on that case and what his father has to say.
He liked the bowl, even though he was terrible, Malachi.
They say time heals all wounds.
It's just a challenge. Father's Day is just extremely hard.
But for Dante Bailey, they grow deeper.
Like right before he passed, I had started buying some music equipment. I was going to start producing beats for him. And I was working on stuff. I would send him stuff. But ever since he's passed, it's hard for me to continue to even get through to complete a beat.
It's been 2 years since he saw the son he once DJ'd for, Malachi.
Heavy. It's heavy.
Malachi Bailey was killed in a North Minneapolis shooting 2 years ago, leaving his family desperate for answers.
Just felt like it was going to be a cold case.
In May, Donnell Jones was charged with the killing. The charges describe a 2024 marijuana deal turned deadly. Prosecutors say Malachi pulled up to the intersection near North 34th and James Avenues, and minutes later, shots rang out. As Jones' case winds its way through the court system, Dante is left doing what he can for Malachi's children.
He wanted to be the best dad in the world.
Dante is left with the hurt that keeps growing. And if Malachi was here right now, what would you say to him?
I'm sorry. I wish I could have did more. I fussed so much. I think I fussed too much. I would just hug him. Let him know how much I love him.
The next court hearing for the man accused of killing Malachi, Donnell Jones, is scheduled for November 10th.
Now to important food recall this afternoon. Taylor Farms is the latest to pull several jalapeno products off the shelves at major stores as the CDC and FDA investigate a multi-state salmonella outbreak. The company, which is also at the center of the cyclospora outbreak linked to iceberg lettuce, says the decision to pull the jalapenos is just a precaution and is not aware of any reported illnesses that are linked to its products. The jalapenos were sold in 26 states, including Minnesota and Wisconsin, at places like Walmart, Target, and Trader Joe's. The voluntary recall also includes products like salsas and guacamole that contain those jalapenos. You can find a full list of the recalled products on our website at kare11.com. Today, Gopher fans, friends, and family will get to say their final goodbyes to former baseball coach John Anderson. The walk-on pitcher at the U of M turned into one of the greatest coaching tenures in college baseball history, with 19 NCAA postseason appearances and nearly 1,400 wins. He passed away 2 weeks ago at the age of 71. His celebration of life is open to the public tonight at 6 at the U of M's Maturi Pavilion. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.